Some of you, if you clicked on this video, God wanted you to see this. It's not a mistake. It's not an accident. There's some of you watching this right now that have divided hearts. I was in prayer and what I heard the Lord saying is a lot of their hearts are divided. I can't come in and make my home with them because they've already invited so many other things, other gods, other idols. They've got one foot in the world and one foot with God. You've got just enough of Jesus that you can't enjoy the world, but just enough of the world that you can't enjoy Jesus. God can't have 90% of you. He needs 100%. Try loving your wife 90% and then loving some other woman 10%. She wouldn't want you. God is a jealous God. He wants all of you. He gave himself on that cross so that he can have every single part of your life. He wants a relationship with you. He desires you fully. The Bible says no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon. God is going to expose a lot of people, and a lot of people aren't going to make the cut because if it's in your mouth but not in your heart, it's going to get exposed through the fire. Some people make an empty confession, but their hearts are far from the person they confess to follow. You can't claim to be a Christian but not look anything like Christ. If you're watching this, it's not by accident. God is wanting you to pick a side. The reason it's been so hard for you to follow Jesus, it's because you're trying to hold on to him, but also hold on to the things of the world. You've been playing tug of war. Are you serving God or the devil? Because you can't serve both. So like I said, the Bible says you can't have two masters. So what does this mean? You can't have both worlds. I heard something powerful. 1 hour at church and the other getting drunk. That doesn't work. 1 hour praying and the other gossiping. Not going to work. 30 minutes in the word and 30 minutes watching you know what doesn't work. Let me put it to you like this. 1 foot in the world and 1 foot with God. That is called hypocrisy. Darkness and light can't mix. How can Christ and the devil have any agreement? You cannot serve both God and the world. Where your treasure is, your heart will be there also. The Bible says, do not love the world or the things of the world. Guys, either be hot or cold, but pick a side. Jesus says it's better for you to be cold than lukewarm. I heard a saying of a man on a fence. One side was God's and the other side was the devil's. This man didn't choose God's side or the devil's. He stayed on the fence. Eventually the time runs up and the devil comes up to him and says, you're coming with me. The man says, what do you mean? I didn't choose God, but I definitely didn't choose you. And the devil's response was, the fence was mine all along. Let me ask you this. Which team are you on? Because you can't be on both. You're either with God or you're with the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not inside of them. The problem is some of us play too much with sin. Jesus didn't say struggle and battle with your sin. He said, if you can't stop sinning with your hand, cut it off. If your eye causes you to sin, gouge it out so that your whole body can go into heaven. Oh, that's a little extreme, don't you think, brother? The consequences of living in sin is extreme. Jesus said something this extreme to help us understand that we are not to play with sin. We have to abandon it and run the other direction. Some people want God without the correction. You wanted him without the accountability. You wanted the benefits of Christianity without taking up your cross. You wanted to be on the microphone. You wanted to be famous. You wanted to be a social media influencer while the whole time you still wanted to fornicate, commit adultery, and live in sin. You didn't want to die to your flesh. No, it's not all about you. You're not the main character of your life. It should be Jesus. Did you know that the gospel is not about you? The gospel is for you, but it's not about you. I know some people might not like this. It's okay. The Bible's not about you, though. It's about Jesus. It's funny. The culture says embrace yourself. Jesus says die to yourself. The world says find yourself. Jesus says deny yourself. Guys, I look around and we call ourselves Christians, but do we look anything like Christ? And I'm not even talking about if we cast out demons or heal the sick, which by the way, the Bible says a true believer will do all these things. Read Mark 16:17 if you don't believe me. But what I'm trying to say is, do we even love our neighbor? And I'm talking to myself here, but you know you pass by that one person at work every single day that's headed straight for hell, but God forbid they know you're a Christian. But God forbid you actually share the gospel for once in your life. Let's stop building our kingdom and go back to putting Jesus where he belongs, on the throne, and start building His kingdom. Check your heart today. Is your heart divided? How do I know if my heart's divided? Where your treasure is, your heart will be there also. You are a product of your priorities. You can really tell where a person's heart is by where they spend their time. You can't serve both God and the world. Where your treasure is, your heart will be also. The Bible says, do not love the world or the things of the world. Either be hot or be cold, but pick a side. Jesus says it's better for you to be cold than lukewarm.